When did you leave Colombia? 10 years ago?
No, less. I just went to my Ph.D. to the US, so I left in 2005.
Oh,
And then I graduated and then I came here.
So you finished your master's?
I was still in 2005 in Colombia, so I did a master's in Colombia and then I went for a PhD in the US, in Michigan.
Okay.
Colombia was a colony of Spain until 1810. Well, until 1819. But the independence started in 1810, then they fought, and in 1819 they finally... So then there was a lot of immigration from Spain and also the local people that were there. So as I was saying, most of the people are this combination, and also we had a lot of immigration of people that were brought to be slaves. So there is some more difference with respect to the economy, like if people are maybe poor or rich, they may not make a difference, unfortunately. But in terms of race, maybe a little bit, almost not at all. No, I think maybe in North America you'd see that more than you'd see it in Colombia. You could say that maybe some indigenous communities or maybe black communities would be maybe poorer. Like some areas of the country that maybe are more rural, maybe would be poorer, and in the cities people would be richer. Colombia, it depends on how you define poverty. If you look at this in the statistics given by the government, the thing is that you see numbers that are not that high, are high but not that high. But the thing is that in Colombia, considered to be poor is different because an average person with an average salary here, over there, my impression is that it would be rich.
Right.
Because many things that you take for granted here, maybe it's something that over there people do not have. Like usually people own, say for instance, a car is very common, but the percentage of people that own a car is smaller. Or having a computer here, like all the students on campus, I can see that many students own a computer and all, or a laptop or something. Maybe that's not that common.
Is there a gender inequality there? Like, do girls get the same amount of
Unfortunately, there is gender inequality, but I would say that it is not particularly more than other countries. I think that some people might be still a bit backwards, but I think that young people, like in my university, for instance, young people that have education, I think they would regard, in general, they would regard all like women, men, all as equal. I think that increasingly in this new generation, like sexual orientation doesn't matter, if the person is poor or rich or anything like that doesn't matter. Yeah, in the new generation, I think that especially educated people, I'm just meaning people that have gone to university, I think that it is very, very common that they regard everybody like as equal and are respected. Women might have a harder time in maybe parts that are maybe more conservative. It would not surprise me to see maybe families that maybe don't push as much women to try to get education as they would try men.
So these are the more traditional parts of the country, right?
Yes, and I would think that maybe it would be maybe more acceptable if a woman decides to not go to school than if a man decides not to do it. Or if a woman decides to stay home and take care of the kids than if a man decides to do that. It would be more acceptable in the case of the women. It seems to me that the culture would accept it more that way.
But how about the countryside though?
In the countryside, my experience is that in towns maybe also, I don't know if it would be a little by choice. That maybe, my impression is that many women see it still maybe as part of their goal in life to raise kids and have a family and be that part of the family.
So they sort of have the sense that I need to be in the family.
Like maybe they could think of some plan of life that way, like raising kids and be this important part of the family as a mother that takes care of their kids. Maybe many women would see it more in some more rural areas, see that more as a goal than actually getting some academic degree. It is not forced, but maybe something that they see because especially on rural areas, maybe the education is not enforced that much. A difference that I can tell to North America is that you have maybe more universities, particularly in the United States where I was before. I could see that there are so many universities. In Colombia there are less. So it is a smaller percentage of the population, the ones that actually get to go to the university. So my impression is that in North America it is more common to actually go to the university, but in Colombia, for some people, for many, it would be normal not to do it and actually to go and try to work just after you graduate from high school.
Now, do people living in poverty have the same options of going into high school?
I would say that definitely not. So in my country, it is very common to go to a private school more than in North America, because private schools are very expensive in North America. Actually, in my country, they are not that expensive, but still, the people that live in poverty would certainly not be able to pay a private school. They would go to public schools. The level of public schools in my country is acceptable, but definitely is not comparable to the level of private schools. I am not sure if in North America the level of private schools is better, but it seems that it is comparable to public. It's comparable. In my country, definitely not. Public education would be a much lower level than private education for different factors. For I don't know, the familiar background of the people that are there, the conditions that they have to have access to technology, to have access to books, their family values according to how important it is to actually achieve a university degree, different factors.
So the public education, you don't have to pay for that, right?
Public education is completely free. It will be actually illegal to charge anything for the people that go to public education in elementary and high school level. But again, the level is lower, unfortunately. And private high schools and private elementary schools can compete for better teachers. They can offer them more, so they certainly have better teachers. On the other hand, the public ones, some of the teachers might be good, but maybe some of them are not that strong. And they have sometimes strikes. It's more common. Like private schools usually don't go on strike, but the public ones sometimes go on strike. But something that is remarkable in my country is that public universities are very strong, are extremely strong. I would say are stronger than most private universities, probably stronger than all private universities. But there are some things that happen in public universities. The tuition is very low, but I remember to be with friends that their tuition was, say, 20 Canadian dollars per semester, but they did not have them. It's true. I mean, it's too much to ask for them to these people. Many of my friends were in this situation.
So they cannot pay $20.
They could not pay basically any number you tell them. They just have enough basically to live. I mean, to live, and they would struggle to pay public transportation, to eat, but there are some programs in some public universities. The government would sponsor programs that people would get some money so that they can use this to buy your photocopies, for some transportation. I don't know the percentage of people that can access to this, but I know that some friends had this.
Are there any options like student loans or anything?
There are student loans, but I think there will be more people needing them than the ones that would be available. And actually, the public universities are very competitive. Since, as I was saying before, the number of universities in my country is lower. So many people that would like to go to a public university because they could not afford a private are not going to be able to do it because they said the admission goes by tests. You have thousands of people taking these tests and maybe just hundreds of people being admitted to each program. So it's a small percentage of the people that apply, the ones that actually get to be in the public education there. So in the public university, so it's actually a privilege. There is a lot of unemployment. It's hard to find a job, especially on things that you do not need a degree. If you have something that makes you, especially in a certain sense, that can distinguish you a degree, the salaries go higher and there are more jobs that way, I guess, but there's still a lot of unemployment. But for things that you do not need a degree, there is a lot of competition because there will be many people applying for those. So yeah, there is a lot of unemployment. In terms of comparison of men and women, as you tell me, I would say that there are I think jobs that are maybe somewhat for men, maybe drivers or something like that. I think women could do, but it seems that in my country it's not that common. Or people that work on kind of using strength. It's something that in my country I have not seen that much, but here I was surprised in Canada that I have seen like women that work operating like machines or doing things like this, and I have seen them working in different parts of the city, so it's very nice, and
Yeah.
it's something that is a difference with respect to my country. I guess you also wanted to ask about the culture.
Yeah.
I live in a somewhat large city, it's like 2 million people,
Oh, okay.
and it's very developed. I would say that for a rich person, the quality of life would be very good. You could have very good universities. There is like everything you might want to do, like in a large city, in other places of the world. Like you have like you can go to the movies. You have good theaters. You have plays in the theater. You have good restaurants. You have international food. I think it's a nice developed city. On the other hand, you have also some part of the city that there are some more poor people that struggle to find good education, that maybe some people that have struggled to pay the utilities, that maybe have situations of unemployment and things like that.